This is the Dungeon Master's Handbook. Hey everyone, this is Mike Shorten, Chicago is Dungeon Master's Handbook. I'm going to try and experiment and see how the podcast does with me driving. It should be interesting. This is the Monday before Christmas. I am running to Sam's Club to get a big brownie sheet and other little minor things that we forgot, because you know how this is when you're hosting the big family dinner. There's always something else to be bought. So we'll see how this goes. Not going to talk about Advanced Dungeons & Dragons because, there's a lot to be said there. And I wanted this to be more of a personal episode. Talk a little bit about a couple of things that have been on my mind. And we'll get back into the meat of Advanced Dungeons & Dragons here in next week or two. It's the holiday season. I've been enjoying playing Minecraft with my wife and my grandkids who they know that game inside and out. Boy, I feel like a complete newbie. It's hilarious. But I'm building the princess wife a castle in what's known as survival mode, where you got to go and dig everything up yourself. Now, that's been kind of interesting, but she doesn't know what I'm doing. I like doing little things like that. You know, it makes the game fun for me. Anyway, wanted to talk about something that has been on my mind, and it's talking about the so-called OSR and how people get into it and what people think about it. And there's a couple of reasons I'm thinking about this. So I'm on Twitter the other day, and this guy who seems like he's got a little bit of a following, he tags a whole bunch of people that are into the new version of Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, and he's like, hey, I used to play AD&D back in the day. It's been 25 years since I played, you know, how can I get back to playing? And, you know, because he tagged the people that are into the newer version, of course, they're all talking about essentials and the starter kit and all that for 5th edition. And so I kind of took a different tack, you know. I let them know that, you know, you can definitely do 5th edition. There's a lot out there. But, you know, I gave them the spiel about, hey, AD&D is still very relevant. There's still a lot of interest in it. Told them about the retro clones, sent them, you know, a couple of links to things, you know. And basically, though, look, at the end of the day, when someone's wanting to play Dungeons & Dragons again, they're going to get, you know, attracted to the newest version. I know when I came back in 2008, first thing I did was start reading up on 3.5, and boy, that turned me off in a hurry. When you need a spreadsheet to create a adventure, that is not how I want to go. And this is a spreadsheet just to calculate treasure and experience. Craziness. Anyway, you're going to get attracted to the latest version when you're coming back into it. And I don't do the hard sell. And I'll tell you why. And this comes back to something that I've been talking about on the Audio Dungeon Discord and I've said on Twitter, is that the biggest, most important thing about playing D&D is just to do it and enjoy the experience. You know, this guy hasn't played. I want him, he hasn't played in 25 years. I want him and the people that he's with to have the absolute best time that they can. That they're going to go back and they're going to say, wow, that was a lot of fun. I want to do that again. That's how the hobby grows. And here's the other thing, too. Sure, he decided to go with 5th edition. You know, maybe this was kind of a thing that, you know, he was just doing and he was just poking around anyway, calling attention to it. I don't know. But it planted the seeds in his head now. he knows that AD&D is still out there. It's easy to get. You hop on to Drive-Thru RPG. You can buy the PDFs. You can get the prints. Sure, the books may be a little expensive, but I can pick up AD&D books for $10-15 a piece, and they'll be in fairly decent shape. So that is all out there, and he knows that there's retro clones available. He's got this information. It's going to be a seed, and he's going to think about it, and I bet you if I poke him in a year, he'll say, yeah, you know what, I did go ahead and try a game of AD&D, or I did go to a convention and played an old school game. And that's how I think I like to grow the old school side of things. The hard sell doesn't work. I mean, we get into these frickin' edition wars about what's better, what's worse, and all that. And the bottom line is there are still people playing every single version of D&D out there and having a blast to do it. And you know what? They don't know anything about these podcasts or blogs or discords or what have you. They're just getting together with their family or friends or both, and they're just having a good time imagining whatever it is that they're imagining in their game. And that, to me, gosh, that's the thing that I'm passionate about. Having fun, making this game your own and just going out there and doing it, and don't worry about if you're a podcaster or if you're playing the latest version or what have you. Just go and have fun. The other reason that this is on my mind is there's a forum that I'm a member of. It's called the AD&D 74 Pro Boards. Now, this board has been around for a while, and it's definitely old school in both look and feel as well as topic. They talk mainly about playing the original game of Dungeons and Dragons like it was in the early mid-70s. Friendliest forum I have ever been on. I mean, this place, people are nice to each other. They're genuinely helpful. A lot of them I count as friends because of the respect and the information and the fun that we've had talking about D&D to each other. Totally awesome place. Well, this place attracts, because of the subject, it attracts some of the older players. Some of the people that were there from the very beginning. And it seems like that some out of this population of the older players, they get into it. They really like being able to talk to the newer generations, the people that weren't there. They like being able to share their experiences. And then there's a population of folks, and they just seem to really struggle with the online thing. And I don't know if it's because it's age and it's difficult to adapt to, participating in an online community. I don't know if it's, it ends up being something about their personality. Whatever it is, it seems like a fair number of them will do the nuke it from orbit and leave. And this just happened in the OD&D board. One of the guys that was really involved in a lot of different games. And I'm not going to name them. If you want to, you can do the research. This isn't about naming people. He struggled. I don't know if it was personality quirks. I don't know if the guy just this is how he operates. He's maybe hard to get along with. I don't know, but he's not part of this board anymore. He kind of burned his bridges and left, and we're all having a discussion about it, and it makes me sad because one, these people were there. They have all these great experiences. They have all these great stories, and as I found out, very, very much so with Vincent passing in November, we're not guaranteed tomorrow. And all of those experiences, all of those things that these people have, they're ephemeral. They're gonna go away. And people are making up thousands of stories new, but there's something about those stories that they had, they were coming in with nothing. They just had the experiences of reading books and of sharing these with other people, a few movies, and they made a whole game, hobby, lifestyle world out of it that now we all get to share. It really makes me sad that they aren't, that some of them aren't going to be around because they're struggling with the online communities, or they're struggling with, the populations who maybe are asking the same story, or asking the same questions over and over. And there was a story that one of the forum presenters shared. He said, every single time I interacted with Gary Gygax, he never had a bad thing to say. He was always willing to answer questions and be friendly about it. And I hope that I hope that's the way I come across when I, as I get older, unfortunately. And boy, let me tell you, getting old really sucks. That's the way I want to come across. It has always been important to me that at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what version of D&D you're playing. It doesn't matter what rule set you're playing. Hell, it doesn't even matter, what the setting is or how you do it. What matters to me is that you're sitting down, you're having a good time with your friends, you're exploring new worlds, you're exploring what it means to be your character, and just for those few minutes, you are transported to something else and somewhere else, and you get to experience that over and over and over. To me, that is the biggest gift, and that's the one that I want to share with other people, and that's the one that I hope that you all get to share, and that maybe motivates you a little bit too, is to do that kind of thing. All right, I'm here at Sam's Club. I'm going to put this on pause for a few minutes and go buy those last things, and maybe I'll have more to say when I come back. All right, so part 2 of what hopefully is not too lame of a podcast episode. I always worry about when I start yakking with my opinion, because one of two things: either I'm really going to piss a lot of people off, or nobody's going to give a shit. But I guess that's okay too. Whoops. Nobody's going to give a darn. I'm going to get hit with the explicit thing here. Anyway, so I was talking about how, you get people to get excited about old school gaming. I like to take the soft sell, and then I was talking about how hard it is for some of the people that have been there to remain a part of this community. And that kind of gets to something that happened in 2019, and that's a couple of these older guys were accused of being some pretty bad actors. And, first off, it is a really tough situation when this happens. We make a lot of friends, and we don't want to hear about our friends doing these sorts of things, or we hold these people up to kind of like the idol standard. We put them on a pedestal, and we don't want to think about that they're human and they're going to do some pretty crappy things and make some mistakes. And the behaviors that a lot of these people grew up to believe was acceptable, that stuff is etched into their DNA. And so in this day and age, when they go and they engage in those behaviors, they do those things, whether it's, stuff that they thought was okay, or they've been drinking, or whatever it is, and they're rightfully called out on it because it's no longer acceptable behavior. And it creates a lot of hurt feelings, it creates a lot of animosity, and it paints a picture with a broad brushstroke that unfortunately I think is really hard to overcome. And I think that's true for a lot of communities in general, especially smaller communities. You get, enough people that have some problematic behavior, and people outside of the community are going to go, oh, well, they're all like that. And that's unfortunate, and unfortunately in this day and age, it's just something that we got to deal with. So, you have these people with these bad behaviors, and I don't like the behaviors. I think it's wrong. They should be called out on it. And I'm not talking about the situation of he who I'm not going to say his name. That is a screwed up situation in and of itself, and that's not what I'm covering here. I'm talking about, guys that are in their, 60s, 70s, who are acting out in ways that maybe in the 60s and 70s in 80s was acceptable, but it's not now. And I think that kind of goes into what I was saying when they get onto these online forums. These people have certain set behaviors. They're not going to change. When you get that old, the saying "you're set in your ways" is kind of true, and it is hard, I think, for people to break out of those things that are part of their DNA, that they learn, these behaviors and these thought patterns. It takes a lot to change. I used to be a lot more nimble in my 20s and 30s, being able to shift and adapt. And I like to think that I can still adapt, but it's taken me a lot longer. I have to kind of process things and understand it. So I have sympathy, I guess, for the folks that are in the upper years, the elder years, if you want to call it that. And this is a new world today, and I think it's going to be very hard for them to adapt to it. I hope they do, or I hope they just have the personality that allows them to be a part of what today's world is in such a way that they can pass on those lessons, they can pass on those stories about what it was like to play D&D back then, and they can share those experiences, and hopefully it'll make people excited to understand and learn more about the history of our game, because the history is important. Where we came from is going to educate on where we're going. And there is such a stark difference between the modern editions of D&D and the older editions of D&D. And I think both are perfectly valid. Both have really cool, awesome things that people can have fun with. And that really, to me, is what it's all about. All right, so I've wandered enough. Done with my opinion. Like I said, it's the Monday before Christmas. I really hope that each and every one of you that's listening has a really good holiday, no matter what you're celebrating. I hope it's a safe one. I hope it's a joyous one. If you are struggling, if you are having a crappy holiday, this is something's going on in your life, I hope you can overcome it. And if it seems like it's too overwhelming, please reach out to people who can help you. There are people out there that want to help. There are people out there that are just willing to just, take a chair and listen to what you got to say. You are not alone, and there is, there is nothing that is worth ending your life over. If you've lost a loved one around the holidays, my heart goes out to you. This is really tough going into this Christmas without Vincent. I'm missing him a lot, and I'm thinking about him a lot. I've been actually picking up my computer tablet and stylus and going through some lessons and tutorials, thinking about him. He was a wonderful artist, and it's got me a little motivated. So I hope you think about those that have passed and remember them fondly. All right, that's it. Until next time, have a happy holidays and game on.